Hi there, and welcome into the core 4 areas of retirement. We're going to talk about these 4 core areas because they can make or break your retirement plan. But quick note here, want to get the legal stuff out of the way. This is general information and it's not legal or tax advice. Everyone's situation is unique, so consult with a qualified professional for specifics on your situation. The national debt has exploded by over 65% over the past 5 years. Yes, we might be living in low tax rates right now, but will taxes always be low? I don't think so. And here's the important part. Most retirees that I've met with have only saved in pre-tax retirement accounts, like IRAs and 401ks. And why does that matter? Well, because Congress, they write the tax laws, and future tax rates are unknown. Consider this. If you have IRAs or 401ks, saving in pre-tax retirement accounts, it's like having an adjustable rate mortgage. Ew. In your retirement plan. Who wants an adjustable rate mortgage? It's where you might not know what interest rate you're paying in several years. Well, the same is true with the IRAs and 401ks. Because if you can tell me what the tax rates will be for certain in the year 2030, then again, that's why I say having an IRA or a 401k in your retirement plan is like having a silent business partner of Uncle Sam. And it's just like having an adjustable rate mortgage. So if you don't control the rate and Congress does, that's a risk most retirees, they're overlooking. And AI, it'll probably have an impact, but will it be positive? Because think about this, how far off are we from AI auditor from the IRS? It's probably closer or sooner than we think. So the core 4 area, number 1 that we're going to focus on is taxes. And how do you know what you don't know? Well, let me walk you through a common situation we see quite regularly. Ron and Nancy, they're planning a dream vacation. They want to go to Europe. That's what they've saved for. That's what they've worked hard for. And saving diligently, they've only saved in pre-tax retirement accounts. And they're taking $110,000 a year out of those pre-tax retirement accounts, like the IRAs or the 401ks, to supplement the almost $41,000 in combined Social Security benefits. See, here's the thing. When they take this $10,000 out to go on vacation to Europe, Ron thinks he's in a 22% tax bracket. And Ron is in a 22% tax bracket, but Ron doesn't understand there's something else going on behind the scenes. Oftentimes, it can be the Social Security tax formula. But what's happening here is he's triggering the phase out. And while he thinks they're in this 22% tax bracket, he's triggering this phase out where his AGI is over the one big beautiful limit for receiving that $6,000 bonus deduction. And he's going to eat into that. And if you take a look at the total tax here, $13,000 versus $16,000, he didn't know $2,220 in taxes. No, it wasn't 22%. It was 35%. Now, when do you think Ron figures this out? Probably when he goes and files his taxes. This is just one of many sad examples that I can point to of why retirees need to be getting tax advice with their financial advice. So let's go on now and talk about who should act sooner than later. Well, if you've saved over $1 million in pre-tax retirement accounts, you probably have tax problems. You might just not be aware of it yet. So if you're not experiencing them, then find out while you have time to do something about it now. Don't wait until you turn that age and you have to start taking money out. That's called required minimum distributions. IRMA, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. That can cost you more for your Medicare premiums. The widow's tax trap. All these things can be coming at you in retirement, and if you're not prepared, it could catch you off guard. So how are your core 4 areas of retirement? If you're feeling uncertain, arrange a 15-minute phone consultation, we call it step 1, and we can help you identify any gaps in your retirement strategy. One thing I want to hit here before I move on, if you've only saved in pre-tax retirement accounts like IRAs, 401ks, that could equal future tax risk, all right? So let's talk about the core 4 area number 2, healthcare costs. And Mary, she'd lost her spouse several years ago. And when you lose a spouse in retirement, you start hitting that widow's tax trap as we talk about. you can pay more in taxes faster on less income. Well, she'd started selling off some of her rentals because she didn't want the headaches anymore. And one year she had over $400,000 in capital gains. Now she knew she was going to owe taxes. It's like, oh yeah, duh, I made money. I'm going to owe taxes. She didn't know how much. And when she didn't know how much she was going to owe in taxes, the bigger surprise was the fact she was going to owe more in her Medicare premiums. And in another year and a half, it added over $5,000 to her Part B and D of Medicare. When do you want to know about this? See, those with large pre-tax retirement accounts, they're even at more risk because in the future, that's going to probably cause you to have higher income, which means higher Medicare premiums. Healthcare risk, it just isn't about the medical bills. It's about the tax exposure and the income planning you're going to need. So core area number 3, estate planning. Well, let me tell you about a pretty tragic story here. And essentially what I want to share with you is what you don't know, it can cost you dearly. When it comes time for estate planning, I get the question oftentimes, well, do I need a will or do I need a trust? And those are great questions. But as a financial advisor, I'm not equipped to answer them. And oftentimes in this scenario, we see people get referred off to someone else. But then it transfers the responsibility to the retiree, not the professional they've hired to help them. Well, Sherry's story was just like that. Sherry and her husband, they had an estate planning attorney, they had a financial advisor, but they weren't coordinating together. And Sherry, when her husband passed away, owed $80,000 in taxes. And this could have been avoided. And here's even the more tragic part. They thought they were going to avoid things like this because they'd taken the time to have a plan with an estate planning attorney, and it looked good on paper, but they didn't know the areas they'd overlooked. Her deceased husband, like I said, had a trust, and this trust didn't factor in some of the important details that should have been considered and helped Sherry save these $80,000 in taxes. But again, they didn't know what questions to ask. Most people don't realize that until it's too late. Core 4 area number 4, finances. AI, it's everywhere. Will it be disruptive? Is it already being disruptive? And if it is your financial advisor having conversations with you to figure out if your nest egg is poised for AI and how disruptive it'll be? Check out this statistic, this survey from companies. This is a Federal Reserve Bank of New York survey, and it found 40% of service firms and 26% of manufacturers, they're already reported using it. And that was just in the year 2025. That's probably going to increase. And why it's so important is, get this. While very few firms reported AI-induced layoffs, many said they were scaling back hiring because AI, it improved efficiency. So if companies are scaling back hiring, how is that going to have an impact on where you're invested? Are you invested in the right areas to take advantage of AI in the future? Will it disrupt your retirement? Possibly. But you need, again, the one thing I want to highlight here is, has your current advisor, have they discussed with you how AI could impact your retirement and your current strategies? You need to find out. Can you say with any kind of confidence, is your plan adaptable to these developments? And additionally, what sectors could be most appropriate to consider? You know how you find out? By scheduling a 15-minute chat with us by phone. Or if you're ready to go on to that full-blown 60-minute consultation with us, that's step 2 in our process. See, step 1 is to get a fundamental understanding, a baseline of education of what could be happening in your retirement. You just completed that by watching this webinar. But again, to schedule that step 1 phone call with us, it's really easy. It's just a 15-minute introductory call by phone, and it can help with questions you have, or maybe even identify if you could benefit from going through our full-blown Core 4 report process. Thanks for watching this webinar today. We appreciate that. And again, schedule that call because you don't want to be caught off guard.